Welcome to the Big Sis Little Sis podcast. I'm Elle.
And I'm Ruby.
And we're two ethnic sisters here to talk about all things culture, feminism, and business.
Join us for weekly unfiltered and unapologetically female opinions and join in on the conversation.
Welcome back to the Big Sis Little Sis podcast.
Hello again, everybody. You're here with Ruby and Al, and today with us we actually have a special guest who does happen to be the actual big sister of our group.
The oldest of us all.
Say hello to Ms. Leyla Yildirim.
Hi everyone.
So, today, ladies, we are talking all things pregnancy, birth, labour, something that you both have obviously been through 2 times and 1 time.
Yes.
Something that I have not been through. However, I still feel like a mother because I've got a beautiful cat son.
Oh, definitely not the same. I assure you.
It feels
very
definitely
different.
not the same.
It feels like I carried him in my own womb. But look, so basically, I just want to cover off, what the reality of this stuff is, because we know how obviously some expectations are around pregnancy, labour, but also how it gets often romanticised in movies and, I guess the impressions that we're raised with. So why don't we start with, obviously, your pregnancy. This is kind of where it all began for you both. And I know you both had a really different experience.
Very different.
So, Leyla, Elle, run me through yours.
Okay, so I was quite young. I was 26 years old. And I mean, at the time I thought, wow, I'm not falling pregnant, but it only took about 3 months. Apparently that was actually a quick result now that I think back. So it took me 3 months to fall pregnant for my first. I had quite a normal, healthy pregnancy and severe morning sickness, which I did not realise would be that bad, to be honest.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
Was it in the morning?
No, it's all day. That's just a name.
So why is it called morning sickness?
I have no idea. I don't know, but it's all day and it sucks. It's horrible. You literally want to die. It's just bad. You constantly want to vomit and you can't.
Even our pregnancies were different. I just had slight nausea that would go away with food.
Oh, God,
as soon as I would eat,
horrible.
like, even if it was just like toast, which is what they recommend, but like my, I had like go-to meals, which was like, my Zambreros with lots of jalapenos and my chili noodles.
Nothing. I was always sick for 12 weeks. On the dot, though, that was the weirdest thing. As soon as I hit 12 weeks, I woke up one day, it was gone. I was like, whoa.
So which trimester is that?
First.
So
once you went
lasted your whole first trimester.
The whole first trimester.
Yeah.
And then, so had the baby. It was so funny. My water broke at Crown Casino. I was like, I'm coming out too.
Were you gambling?
No, we just went out for dinner. And then...
But you weren't expecting it.
No, he was 2 weeks early. And then I rushed to the hospital thinking...
Well, technically full term, 38 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I kind of...
But
everybody was like, boys
says,
go over.
And they say it's your first, you're going to go over.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So here I am thinking, I've got another 2 weeks. This is fine. Apparently not. And then I remember rushing to the hospital and, going, my water broke. And they're like, sure, great. Here's a form. Now take a seat. And I was like...
It's not a big deal. Take a seat.
And they're like, take a seat.
Isn't the baby coming?
Yeah.
No. You don't have to sit there and do practice runs like they do in the movies.
No. And
time it down to 3
literally,
minutes.
that's what I thought.
No,
but no, it was a interesting experience. I went drug-free. So I was induced and I didn't take the epidural. And I think back now and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking?
Well, let's come back to that point because I asked about your pregnancy. You told me the whole story.
Oh, here I am going, and then this happened. Do you want me to talk about the breastfeeding too?
And how are the boys now?
What are their future plans?
So it's good because, like, obviously, just taking it way back to the start, you said it only took you 3 months, which was, in your mind, pretty quick. But I guess,
in her mind, it was pretty long.
At that time, I thought it was long. Now that I look back and I look at other people's experiences, I'm like, oh, wow, that was quick.
That's normal.
That's totally normal. Whereas then I was like, but why? Like, I don't know. I guess I was just dumb to it. I was just like, why
I guess
not pregnant yet?
everyone has that thing of, as soon as you start trying, you'll get pregnant. Like,
Well, I think people don't talk about it. They don't say
don't
we
talk
started
about
trying.
we're
They just go,
trying.
we're pregnant. So you just think,
That's
oh,
true,
you're going to
too.
fall pregnant.
You're right.
I don't know.
That's true. And I think, do you know what? It's interesting because I actually don't know if this is different across different communities, because it's actually not something I've discussed with my friends of different ethnicities. But I guess, you know, this whole let's be quiet about the fact that we have sex, because, you know, it's not like we're human beings and we do it for fun or anything like that, but we do it for trying a baby. And nobody actively says we're trying, because it's, I guess, maybe gross to think about the fact that you're like planning out your sexcapades and, you know, making sure you're laying on your back and doing all the things.
legs up.
That's it. So I guess maybe that's fine. But I mean, is it a conversation you probably have it now with your friends if you were trying for another baby?
Now, definitely. But no, back then I wouldn't even mention it.
Did you feel like it was because it was rude?
I don't know. What about...
I mean, there are some people that are very reserved. They're like, oh, so do you want another child? And they would be like, oh, we're thinking. And then, you know, it's like, oh, by the way, we're pregnant now. And it's like,
it's
oh,
like,
when did that
we're
happen?
thinking is we're trying.
It's very much,
Thinking about it, yeah.
especially because you want to wait for that 3 months to overcome, like, so you wait to make sure that, you know, the risk of miscarriage has...
Yeah,
gone.
totally. Yeah.
So people, even like people that, you know, you work with very closely, that you're friends with, a lot of people won't tell you. As did I. Like, I didn't tell a lot of people until that 12 months came. 12 weeks came.
But I feel like you were pretty vocal about the fact that you were trying, because you had a very different experience to ours.
Well, yes.
So tell us, like, what was your experience like for getting pregnant?
Well, obviously I wasn't vocal at the start, and then you're trying to figure out why you're not falling pregnant. And then you're realizing there's something wrong. So for me, it was after about 6 months of trying, I knew there was something up. I went to the doctor, and she was all like, oh no, you just got to keep trying, my GP. And then I thought, nah, I need a referral. I want to get checked. I was like, send me to an OB. And unfortunately with our system, I don't understand why I can't just walk into an obstetrician and pay them the money.
I know.
And
that's the beauty of living in Turkey, actually. It's like you have access to specialists.
Like,
You don't need to go through a GP.
I have to get that GP referral.
Yeah.
So that was
it's not
frustrating.
just a referral, you have to justify yourself.
Yeah, why I want
Because
it.
they're the gatekeepers for
Yeah, they are.
specialists. Yeah. No, it's...
But, and I got it, I went, did everything. I had to wait 3 months for the appointment. Again, we're still trying, but nothing's happening. It turns out I have polycystic ovarian syndrome. So that meant she put me on Clomid straight away, which is a tablet that you take. I think it was about 3, maybe 5 tablets I take. And then what happened was I had a really bad reaction to those tablets.
Oh.
So she never did an ultrasound. She never did anything. So if you're in Bendigo, do not go to any female obstetricians. I don't want to name names.
Oh, geez.
And then she refused to see me. She said she didn't have another appointment for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
She couldn't be bothered dealing
She
with
blacklisted you.
it. Yeah, completely. She couldn't be bothered dealing with me.
Wow.
And then I got in touch with another GP, and they got me to a lovely doctor in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And and then after about 4 months of treatment, and I did the injections, it was a gonal F, and that was like every morning for about 2 weeks straight. I had to inject my belly to get my cycle, to get my eggs growing, basically. So basically what happened with polycystic is my eggs got to a certain point, stopped growing, and did not release.
Okay.
So I just had I think in total about when I had the ultrasound, about 55 eggs just sitting there.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So think 1 egg a month. So how long that's been sitting there.
Yeah. Wow. And so I guess, from start to finish, I mean, from the point where you said, I think I want to start trying for a baby,
Mm-hmm.
to actually having
Getting-
a successful pregnancy, like how long was that process?
All up 18 months. So it only took 4 months after the injections. By the 4th month, the doctor he was all like, he looked at me and said, you should have been pregnant by now. And I went home crying. And
That's
so there was
amazing.
actually another treatment he wanted to do. There's something, I forgot what it's called, but they literally stick this big needle through your
Oh, God.
hoo-ha cervix,
Yeah.
and then they flush out your tubes with like water or
Oh,
saline
okay.
or whatever it is. And I just remember crying on my drive back to Bendigo, and I thought, God, please, I hope I'm pregnant because that scares me so much more.
Oh, God.
But little did I know
Terrifying, right?
what labour was like.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, the joys
This is
of
the
labour.
thing, right? So, you know, we talk about this conversation about, you know, getting pregnant, and it's a totally different journey for every woman. And for some people like yourself, Elle, obviously it's quick. You just go, oh, I'm pregnant now.
Yeah.
How cute. And then for you, it's, you know, okay, we need medical intervention. So
Yeah.
it's totally different. And, you know, one thing I really, really hate is this whole question around, so when are you having a baby? Which is pretty common, I'd say, in, you know, in the whole schedule of being a woman. I mean, you know, we spoke about this privately as well, as, you know, you're raised from a young age to say, when are you finishing school? When are you getting married? When are you having a baby?
Yeah.
When are you having another baby? And it's just like, it's constantly not enough.
Well, yeah, now mine's, you know, when's your next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mine answer is one and done, baby.
That's it. And it's like,
yeah.
who are we trying
It's
to
none of
appease?
anyone's business.
I mean, people just keep asking.
Yeah.
It's like, why do I have, who's this for? Is it for you? Is it for me? I mean,
We all got it separately. You got the, when are you going to try for a girl? You're getting the why, you know, when are you going to have a baby?
interestingly, I actually don't, and this is really, I think it's entirely due to the fact that you both have kids. I don't get it from my own parents. My own parents don't necessarily turn around and be like, you're due for a baby. When are you going to have one, right? Because they've already got 3 grandkids. It's like, whatever.
They're like, they're keeping us busy. It's all right. You can take your time.
It's all good. But it's my mother-in-law, bless her. She's constantly on my case about when I'm going to have a baby, because it's her first son who's been married, and the other one's not looking promising at the moment. So she's like, "Come on, man, can we have a baby now?
Baby away.
We want to keep the family name going. Like, can you just have a baby?" And I'm just like, I got a new kitty cat. That'll keep me busy for the next 10 years. So but yeah, like going back to that question about this whole, when are you going to have a baby? You know, you just don't know the story that people are going through.
You
Like,
don't know what they're going through.
you don't know if they're struggling with fertility. You don't know if they don't want children at all. You don't know if they've had 3 miscarriages in the last 2 years. Like, you just don't know.
Well, yeah, for me, everyone knew at my workplace, because I remember just breaking down and crying when the doctor said that they won't give me another appointment. And it was like, it was the worst. Like, when you hear that, and like, you know that they're going to help you, but they're refusing.
Yeah.
And that was really hard. And yeah, everyone knew. So
Yeah. I think it's a different case for you though, Leyla, because you worked in a really
very
small,
close-knit,
tight-knit
team.
female environment.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking about, you know, you, Ali, used to work in really corporate environments. Like, there's no way you could have gone in and cried because you can't get pregnant. I'm sure in that case, the managers might be high-fiving, going, yes, she is not going to go on mat leave anytime soon. So,
oh dear.
do you know what I mean? Like, and so it's these kinds of things where, like, you're really lucky, I guess, in that situation.
I was really lucky
To be like
So
surrounded by all these
Layla's a
women.
scientist and she was working in the lab, just for clarification.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like everyone's together all
I
day.
did have the
they're
best team,
chit-chatting.
and I must admit, that day, my manager turned around, she said, just go home. And the 2IC, she said, you'll get worse if you go home. Just get yourself hot chocolate, go to the room, go open Netflix on your phone, and come out when you're ready.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
And that support was amazing. They always had my back.
Yeah, environments like that, it's really, like, I envy that, because that's something I don't think I would have in my type of role, or that you would have if you went back into corporate. It's just, it's so unique. But yeah, it's really nice for you to have that support, and not everyone has that support when they're going through these troubles. I mean, we have each other. We're 3 sisters and a boy. But
And the boy.
and the
My
boy.
boy.
But it's, you know, it's hard, like, because it's not something that you necessarily talk about. It's quite taboo to talk about the fact that you miscarried, or you had a stillbirth, or you're struggling with fertility. I mean, I know some people are still judgmental about IVF. Like, there's a whole stigma around these things.
Yeah.
And I just find it really ironic, because it's like, well, who are you? Like, we've managed to, you know, evolve in our scientific capabilities, and now we're able to give people who previously couldn't conceive children. Same reason why we have epidurals, same reason why we have all these amazing things that, you know, help us.
I
Yeah.
know.
So, you know, how can you judge somebody who's had an IVF treatment and now had a child?
Well, I mean, I'm going to, like, it's totally off topic, but then again, people will argue vaccinations. Like, there are people that do not accept all of science, and there are people that accept all of science. Like, that's just how it is.
I mean, for the listeners, I just want to say, don't come at me with vaccination stuff. I work in vaccines. I will knock you down. I will knock you down about vaccines.
However, I mean, I'm somebody that just sort of decided not to vaccinate my kids.
I'm moving outside, Leyla. That's it. Get out now. No,
it sort of happened considering I am a scientist and it does, you know, I believe in the science, but it just sort of happened that way. We were in lockdown and I was not going to leave the house.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's your choice not to vaccinate, but you don't have a right to badger other people.
No way.
For it. Same reason why, you know, you can't badger another woman for having hormone injections or IVF treatments or whatever.
Or choosing not to have children.
Or choosing not to have children, which I'm going to get into pretty shortly. But first, pregnancy, we've discussed this. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you know, the whole process of being pregnant is in itself a whole nother ball game because now you've got the baby. Guess what? Now there are expectations for you to be the glowing pregnant woman in your flowy white dress, just so radiant.
I was actually very airy-fairy. I was like, I pretty much pretended in my own head that I was that glorious, beautiful pregnant woman. I had to have it all. I was very much...
I mean, the princess of...
I would say the bridezilla of pregnant women.
You were, 100%.
I had to have, Pregzilla. I like that. Yeah, and I completely own that. And you know, I had to have the over the top baby shower. And everything had to be perfect.
And that's not what I'm saying though. So I love that, and I think 100% you should be spoiled. You're growing a person inside you. Like that's not an easy feat for anyone. I guess where I take issue with this whole glowing pregnant woman thing is you know, this expectation that she has to be radiant and outstanding and phenomenal when, like you mentioned, Ali, you had morning sickness for months. Like, it's not pretty, and some people go through a really hard time. I had a girlfriend who just had a baby. She was bedbound for the last 4 months of her pregnancy. It's not a fairy tale for everybody, but unfortunately, you know, because of things like social media and because of things like movies, Hollywood, it's this whole stereotype that keeps getting perpetuated.
Yeah. And the weight gain is stressful.
The weight gain, yes, and losing the weight gain.
I stopped looking at the scales. I just refused to weigh myself. I was like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, I'm huge.
You just feel bad about it, right? And it's only because of what you see. So you see these people on social media, they look freaking amazing.
Oh my God, like these
They're
tiny
pregnant
women. And I'm like, why is my ass growing so big? Like, I'm not eating more than what I normally do, but you put on weight. It's just the weirdest thing ever.
Do you know the irony in mine? I put on weight because of the hormones. So I put on a lot of weight before I got pregnant. But during my pregnancy, it was only like a 15 kilo weight gain, which is quite...
Mine was like 32 kilos.
Well, all up it became like 30 because I put the weight on before. And I was eating a lot more than usual. So that for me, I was like, what is going on? I'm so hungry. Yeah. But I'm not putting on that much weight, which was fantastic. Because I put on the weight previously because of the hormones, that's what stayed with me.
Yeah. And look, it's obviously it's normal to gain weight. And some people lose weight as well during pregnancy.
Yeah, some people are like sick the whole time.
It's a whole unique journey. I guess, you know, another issue which is a really big impact on, you know, yourself as the, you know, partner in a heterosexual marriage with a baby, whatever, is, you know, your partner's expectation of you as well. Because they're also used to seeing these stereotypes of women. And so now they're suddenly kind of disappointed that you're not this radiant, beautiful, glowing pregnant person. And so you have this one stereotype which is like, ooh, ethereal mother of a baby in her belly, and then you have this other stereotype which is like, go out to 7-Eleven at 2 a.m. and get me this, that, and I feel like the weirdest shit cravings. And it's just, there's just two extremes.
I never had. Did you have cravings?
No, never.
I only just wanted like food, like, you know, there were certain foods that I felt like eating.
I never had cravings.
I ate chili, like in normal, like, you know, like I just wanted a bit of extra chili in my food.
I just died of heartburn, so it was like, actually, I was scared of eating anything.
And I'd go through phases like I wanted, what was it? Taze fasulye.
Green beans.
Turkish style green beans, Mediterranean style. And Mum would make me a huge pot for the week, and I'd, you know, pick that up from Melbourne, obviously, and then I'd just eat that just with yogurt, like. But I went through phases, so that I had for like a few weeks.
Yeah, and so, like, I just hate that you're either an amazing angel princess pregnant, or you're like this she-beast who is like demanding all these foods from her partner and being unreasonable, and there's no happy medium. Like, this keeps getting perpetuated and I freaking hate it. We're just humans.
Yeah.
We're just growing a baby.
I was really lucky. My husband was completely supportive. And I suppose I was so excited to be pregnant, I would every single morning look at my belly. And I'm like, is it growing? Is it growing? Is it growing? I think, and like my belly only popped out after about 5 months. First pregnancy, but she was sitting a bit behind as well. That's towards the back. I don't know. That's what they said. So I was always like trying to have this like belly sticking out. So he thought that was cuter than anything. And then when I did finally get this belly, I was like, oh, my belly.
Did you have a maternity shoot? I don't remember.
It was sort of like done at my baby shower because I couldn't organise it in time.
Oh, sorry about that. Did you?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I had a friend that gave birth.
I remember Ash taking a few photos, but that was just lame and at home.
A lame.
Oh, me. I don't organise things.
With the little fedora, wasn't it? It was cute.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. I'm the mum that like organises my kid's birthday like a few days before the birthday. I'm like, oh shit, I got to get something. So I'm not a planner. I'm horrible at that sort of thing. So
I'm a delegator. See, when I'm planning things, I just make you give tasks to each of you.
I'm not into it. You know, do I wish I had the photos now? Not really. I don't really care. Like, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I didn't have the photos
You've got
after.
the proof. I mean, you've got the
I'm
children.
like, oh, whatever.
So you don't need it.
I never did the hospital photos. No, never did it.
See, I love that stuff. I'm
Yeah.
all about, like, memories and capturing the moment.
I get frustrated. I'm just like, oh, more photos.
And the newborn photos.
Didn't do it.
And the...
Obsessed with it. I organised your newborn photos.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yes.
Plus, I was the videographer at your birth, and I freaking love it. Like, just... And your baby shower.
Really good.
Thank you. I'm very good at party planning. Ruby's party planning.
Ruby is literally the best person to plan any event.
Yes.
If I ever have a baby, my maternity shoot is going to be out of this world.
Oh my God.
It's going to be some Cirque du Soleil shit.
Like milk baths or whatever.
Oh, no.
No. What is a milk bath?
What is that?
Are you
That's
kidding
like
me?
basic.
That's basic.
That's as far as my brain goes.
I'm going to be fucking upside down, hanging off bloody...
Oh my God.
Like with like those
Probably
beautiful...
Yeah.
I can't even imagine her baby shower. I was so laughing.
I know who the photographer... I have the photographer. I just don't have
Although
the intention to have a baby.
I must say, you did not find me a good venue. I had to find my own venue, but I found the best.
Oh, you found the best venue.
I must admit.
Boy, do we make it beautiful.
Oh, yes. We're very lucky.
Yes. We do like to say, please look at these photos
Yes.
this baby shower.
I still have it on my screen.
Every chance we get, we'll say, please look at this baby shower.
Look
Look
at
at
the
the baby
beautiful.
shower photos. It's just beautiful.
Maybe we'd have to share a photo from my baby shower now.
So that you can all enjoy the baby shower.
Well, the video, I think we had like a little video.
Do we? Oh, yeah. Anyway, we have a very... your birth video. The edited one with all the gross stuff. Wasn't that so beautiful as well?
That was beautiful.
If you want a hijabi, I could freaking share it. But...
The only thing that I don't like about that is that when you've got Emma feeding me and I'm like, I just don't like that. That's the only... I didn't like how I looked there.
But it happened. It was candid.
Just like to point out that I flew down from the Gold Coast to Bendigo instantly when I found out she was in labour.
Hang on, it was like 12 hours later.
It still wasn't. As soon as you were in active labour, I was like, I'm coming.
Yeah.
And I organised my kids and I got on a
Because you were like,
flight.
she's going to have that baby. Yeah.
And then I got my dad to drive me to Bendigo from Melbourne Airport. I was like, I'm here now. And then it's like,
now you can have the baby.
And then she's like, you can have the baby. And she's like, so where's the baby?
And I'm like, now I get to wait another 10 hours.
In the movies, like, you're waiting for that one person to get to the labour and then the baby comes at the right moment. It wasn't that case because it took a whole nother
was still living in that romantic thing of making
I was like,
I
am here. Now you may birth it. And then we're like, should we get a coffee?
Oh boy, yes.
Like, this is going to take
my
time.
room was so full. Every single family member was there, like my immediate family. And all I thought was, oh my God, I need the boys out.
I know.
Like, and even
Good
mum
old
and dad,
pre-COVID.
and wanted the mum and dad out as well. And we were so lucky that when, I did finally have the baby, my little baby, it was only just you two and my husband.
Yeah,
that was
nice. Let's not call them.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your birth, Leyla, since we're on the topic now, because you had a really interesting experience, I guess, in terms of the expectations you had for the birth and the planning that you did
So this is where it
according
got
to
romantic and so beautiful for me. I wanted this beautiful
So tell me about
water
what
birth.
you expected and what you planned
So
for.
the expectation, so Bendigo Hospital has these beautiful water baths. They're huge, they're clean, they looked amazing. And I just wanted a water birth. Like, that's what I fixated on. I just thought that's beautiful. And I love water. I love swimming. And I really, like, that was in my heart.
Yeah.
But when I woke up and my water broke, I was like, I hope I can still have this water birth. Unfortunately, the hospital said, no, your waters have already ruptured, so we do apologise. We can't risk infection.
Yeah.
So that was really, really, really disappointing. But I did, like, leading up to it, I did hypnobirthing. So I was really, like, trying to get into that frame of mind. But unfortunately, like, I thought I had more time to, like, go through all my tracks and, like, practice it a bit more. But my little baby girl came 3 weeks early.
I mean, look, let's be real.
She handed me an oil to rub on her belly. She wasn't even in, like, active labour, and I'm there thinking, girl, you've got no idea what's
I've
coming.
got my mum on pressure points.
And I'm like, what's a fucking oil gonna do to that pain, right? Like, because I know, I've been through it twice.
No, the oil was to induce, like, the contraction.
It didn't work.
Yeah, and then we had to actually get the drugs.
It smelled nice. That was a good bonus, I suppose.
It did. No, like, it did something, but it obviously didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
The other oil to get your milk supply going that was great. Like, it just started to rush out.
Right, okay.
Not that
wasn't
the
the
baby was
placebo effect or
sucking.
anything.
Oh no, or that the baby was sucking.
Whatever. My oils are fine.
Clearly,
Yeah, look,
Ruby
out. Yeah, I'm sorry. We're just...
Whatever.
I'm all about medicine which has evidence.
I'm about facts here.
Evidence-based medicine, and I'm sorry, but rubbing oils
so where
on your
does
belly.
medicine come from?
I mean, rubbing oils onto the skin and hoping it does something doesn't. Injecting an epidural into your spinal tabs actually does something, right? So,
well, look, you jumped ahead. So I had to be induced after 24 hours. It was more like 28 hours. Because a little miss just decided not to come, and I was really happy because I did not want her born on the 19th. I just thought that was not an
ugly
even number. It was an ugly number. I thought 19th of December does not sound right to me. Sorry to everyone born on that day. But so yeah, she was born on the 20th. So that was such a good number for me, and I liked it. And they induced me, and I thought, okay, this is this is what a contraction is like. All right,
cool.
And then we're in the.
I remember thinking that, going,
we're in the shower. We're in the shower, because I've done my things. You put the hot water on your back, and she's put a mat on the floor, and and I'm there like trying to focus, but the pain is just like, it doesn't stop. Like everyone says, between contractions, you get that break. I didn't get a break. Like it didn't. There was no break for me. It just felt like this weird. One contraction that kept going. At the start, there was breaks, but once it kicked in, I just felt like I'm dying.
Yeah, precisely.
Yes, this is death.
In between that, I'm dying with this nice, hot water on my back that's relieving pain.
I don't want to be touched.
I'm on my hands and knees and thinking, is this fucking bathroom clean? And I'm on this disgusting mat. I don't know how clean they are. This is pre-COVID. I don't know if they've sterilised this. So all this is going in my head. I'm starting to feel sick of touching all this stuff. So then I move back to the actual room. And I realised after, in a little attempted ball of like crying, I was like, I need the drugs. I was like, I think it was after
like, get her the drugs
give
now.
it now.
Do you remember Mum turns around and she's like, are you sure, Leyla? And I was like,
yes!
I've made my decision.
And I'm like, quick, get her the drugs. But I swear, because I had never seen it before, like previously to your labour, and I didn't take the epidural. So when I saw it, and I just saw like the instant relief, and you were fine, and you were eating.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And I just thought, what an idiot I was.
I know, I was eating.
What an idiot.
Because,
like, why did I not take the drugs and I just continue to suffer when I have this option?
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Because it's like a competition. It's like, I did it all natural.
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm a real woman. I'm a strong woman. I did it with no drugs. Like, I'm serious. This is literally what people think in that. It's put in your head.
But again, it comes down to, like, you've got modern medicine. Do you want to use it? Like, again, like the vaccinations, the, IVF, epidural.
No, but I wanted to use it. I just was pressured in not using it because I felt like if I didn't use it, then, you're not strong enough.
I'll tell you why it's a problem that you say that, but it's because it's like, okay, natural birth is so amazing. But these are here if you need it, because you know why? If you need it, if you're weak.
Yeah, if
basically.
you can't handle the
it's
pain.
It's not given as a first line option. Like we have an epidural, we have a gas, we have this, we have that. It's like you can do it naturally. If you need it though, this is here for you. And it's still... It. No, you did. But my point is that there's a lot of pressure around not needing it because you're a strong enough woman, and guess what? Your mum didn't need it and her mum didn't need it.
Millions of women give birth and they didn't need it.
And you know,
and if you need it, wow.
But did they have a choice? Again, like, did they have access to these drugs?
Exactly.
You know, they're like,
in this day and age,
one comment I've heard is like, oh, women in Africa, nobody, you know, has the drugs, sort of thing. And they, you know, I'm like, well, do they even have access to?
I know, it's like, I'm sure they'd use it.
Like, do they have this access? So
yeah, but for me, it was like, I just felt like I wasn't a strong enough woman. I mean, I was young. I mean, today that wouldn't be the case at all. But like, if I took the drugs, I was weak, and nobody would be proud of me. And do you know what I mean? Like, it's just weird, this state of mind that you go in, and you're like, but why? And then, you know, when a friend gives birth and the shit, but I took their pill, but it was just so painful, and I'm like, it's okay.
You don't have to justify.
You don't have to justify
100%.
it. If you want to take it,
every right
take
to make
it.
that choice.
It is your decision. Yeah. And I know I have a friend who had somebody in the room that she kind of had a problem, like it was a family member and they had issues. And I don't know how she ended up in her labour room. And she turned around to me and said, "Al, I didn't even scream because she was there. I didn't want her to feel like I was weak." Like, and I was like, "You poor thing. Like, how? Like, you're in such
the pressures.
The
like
pressures.
You've got what's going on.
You're going through bloody labour. You're having a baby, and here you are thinking, I can't scream, so I can't let this person think I'm weak. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's despicable. Like, it breaks my heart. And you know, back to your point about, you know, women in Africa, it's like, but they don't have access to it, or maybe they don't have the right finances to do it, whatever.
Yeah.
But we have it available, and so why not take advantage of that?
Exactly,
it's the same reason why.
Said. He's just like, women have this. I don't know why they put themselves through the pain.
Yeah, and this is it. It's like, when you have a headache?
But can I say something? I remember my mother-in-law at the time. She was so proud of me for having 2 children drug-free that she told all of her friends that, you know, they're like, oh, I'll say it in Turkish, maybe if you're Turkish girls, go çatır çatır doğurdu, like, no drugs. She did it. She's so strong. And then I remember after hearing that about the first, I was like, yeah. And then I don't know why, I thought, I'm so strong. I'm so powerful. I can do this again. And then I remember going to Leyla for the second going, fuck. Do I have to do this again? But they're like, you've already done it once, so you have to do it again. But I don't want to.
It was like, that night, it was like, I was staying with you at the time, and she comes up to me and she's like, I've been counting, the contractions are getting closer. What should I do? And I'm like,
who's this? Sorry?
You?
Oh, me. I'm like, oh.
We did a big walk that night, and then, you know, you obviously woke up and you were like, you know, I've been counting, they're getting closer, they're consistent. She's like, what am I going to do? And all I can see is like this fear.
Yeah, because I knew what was coming. That's why I knew exactly what was coming.
I'm like, you call the doctor, like call your obstetrician, and we're going to the hospital. And then I'm like, wake your husband up. And you're like, okay. And then me, at the time being me, I'm like, I'm dressed. I've got my beautiful blue scarf on to match the baby that's coming. And I'm putting a bit of makeup on as well, because, you know, it's like 3 a.m. I just wanted like to look a bit fresh for photos, obviously. And then all of a sudden I look at the bathroom door. I've got not one white face, but 2 white faces staring at me. And her husband's like, Leyla, are you sure she's in labour? And I'm thinking, we're having this baby. I was like, we're going to the hospital, period. And they're like, okay, but it was like so cute. Like, they're just like young kids, like asking me if they're about to have this baby.
like you've never even had children at this point.
Oh my God.
I think they just freaked out, and it was just that fear, but it was so cute. And 4 hours later he came, so.
I know, that was quicker, but less painful. Not less painful.
No, I think it was worse because he was actually a bigger baby.
So hard.
And you weren't even allowed to scream. The doctor told you off.
Yeah,
And he kicked me out of the room.
I had my second in Turkey, and he was like, just shut up.
Off,
What is that? I don't remember.
And they have this weird thing in Turkey where you've got the birthing room and then the waiting room.
And I had to waddle.
She was waddling, and the baby's head is
and the nurses got, or the midwife's got like something under, like a towel.
She was holding like a pad,
And then I'm there waddling. It's like the weirdest thing.
His head was coming out.
And this was like one of the top private hospitals, and I had my
obstetrician. It was ridiculous.
I didn't even know how things would go down in public.
And I snapped at the doctor. I was like, he went off to have a coffee because he thought there was more time. Okay. And I lost it at him. I was like, where the fuck are you? She's about to give birth.
He literally walked in and I was pushing.
Yeah. And because the midwife was like, oh, you've got to wait for the doctor. He actually was born quite blue. So he was like, anything could have gone wrong.
That's disgusting. Oh, that makes me so mad.
Yeah, but he was angry that I was screaming. I'm like, bitch, of course I'm going to scream. I'm in fucking pain.
And then, get this. You forgot this. And then your husband was just like, just looking like, I don't know if he cut the cord. And then, the OB was like pulling out the placenta, and he's all like, oh no, don't come here and have a look. It might...
there's that in Turkey.
Yeah. It might...
They were actually surprised. Oh yeah, because you might get disgusted from your wife and never want to sleep with her again.
You won't be attracted to her sexually anymore.
It was funny because when we first...
And he was like, she's my wife. Like...
Yeah, no. It was so weird because obviously like the whole pregnancy journey was in Australia, and that was the norm for us. Like all our friends did it. We didn't think twice. Of course he's going to be next to me. But when we moved to Turkey, my first was 7 weeks old, and people were like, what do you mean you cut the cord? What do you mean you were in the room? Were you there with her? And he's like, yes. And they were like, oh, no, that's wrong. Men get disgusted from their wives. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with these men if they're getting disgusted from their wives? Or, not sexually attracted anymore? I just think it is so different culturally. It is so different.
That's bizarre.
I don't know. If a man really would get disgusted at that, that's disappointing.
It's pathetic. It's pathetic if they would. But on that note, because you mentioned sexuality, and it reminded me of something, because obviously there's this whole thing about how long do you have to wait before you can start having
6 weeks.
sex? 6 weeks. Okay, so technically, in order to heal properly, you need to wait 6 weeks to have sex again. But
wait,
you tell me.
That's if you've healed in 6 weeks.
No, if you have, and obviously some people
but
don't.
Generally speaking.
Just FYI, it took me 16 weeks.
Because you had a tear, which I watched happen, and anyway,
my body did not cooperate.
But after 6 weeks, are you mentally ready to have sex again? Yes. No.
Oh no. I was like, nope. Maybe other people were like, yes.
Sure. I was ready.
Were you? Yeah. Because this is like, I'm just imagining, right? You've had and this is just me. I'm not a mother, unfortunately. I can't relate. But just to imagine, I've got a newborn baby. 6 weeks goes by. Okay, this baby's feeding, still waking up every fucking hour or something.
Hour and a half. Your boobs hurt. You got no sleep. You're in pain. Your body's trying to heal. I don't know. I guess I was just young, but for the second, no. The second was a whole different ballgame for me.
But on top of this, you're at home still keeping up with your normal lifestyle because, there's still food to be cooked. There's still laundry to be done. Everything's done. And on top of this, your husband's now, creeping into bed going, let's have sex.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
It just feels like that's a lot of pressure. And personally, I'm thinking about it, I go, I don't think I would be ready for that. But I don't know. Like, I don't know what it's like.
Look, no, I'm super lucky. My husband was not like that. He never, ever did that. And I literally was like, I'm ready now. Like, yes, I'm ready. Like, he just was like, are you sure? I don't want to hurt you. He felt bad
because he went through a lot.
And he watched it and he was so like, he was traumatized because he was so worried that something happened to me. So in his head...
Did he watch the video I took of you up close and personal?
I don't think so. Okay. He was like, because I remember like when I kicked you all out of the room and I had enough and I went into the shower and he was just holding Mira and he was like he was just looking at me. He's like, I can't, like, I thought you died. He's like, I don't want to see you through that again.
Yeah. Her head popped out and it just flopped and I was like, that's it, the baby's dead, my life's over.
I know. I remember Ruby and I looked at each other and we're like, the baby's dead.
I was like, oh my God. And then they pulled her out, they yanked her out And then she made noise and I was like,
Oh,
thank God.
I know, it was like relief.
The irony that I didn't realise these two had never seen a birth before.
No, the thing is I had, but
I
hers
hadn't.
wasn't like that.
They just because they don't realise that they're out of the womb, so they're
Look,
still
man,
like in that sleeping mode.
I think it's because he was out faster. Yours was like head out first, and then
Yeah, it
time
took
elapsed.
time. Yeah.
It took time,
Bit
but
of
somebody
cutting, bit of cutting,
That's
bit of
right, her
pulling, bit
arm
of
came
forces,
out.
Yeah,
bit of
She came out with
suction.
her hand like up at her chin. That's why. So she didn't come out like flopping out like quick.
Yeah.
There was a bit of pressure there.
Sorry, I'm going to take it back to the sexuality thing again.
Yeah.
Because I remembered a story, and I read this somewhere. This woman posted this story on a like feminist forum, and it broke my fucking heart to read it because she literally there. She's saying, "It's my first baby. I've just given birth. I think it's like 2 or 3 weeks in." And her husband turned around and said, "Oh, what? We have to wait 6 weeks." Like, he was extremely
Dickhead.
disappointed. And so he says, "Well, can you at least give me a blowjob?"
What an asshole. Go
leave him.
fuck yourself,
Leave
you
him.
dickhead.
Like,
A
he's sitting there
selfish pig.
wanting her. She's fucking
Yeah.
exhausted. She just popped out a baby. He wants her to sit there and give him a blowjob because,
Oh
you know,
my
he's a
God.
man and he has needs. And do you know
Fuck
what I'm
your
thinking
needs.
about is
Well, that's what he
you
wanted.
can't turn around and talk about this with many people. Like, who do you talk about?
I mean,
And
how
go,
do
oh, my husband wanted a blowjob.
it's,
no.
it's hard.
I
I mean, look, apart from the fact that she spoke about it with the whole world because I was in it. That's different. We're strangers. But, you know, you think about the sport you have,
Yeah.
and even now,
It's
like,
not easy to, open up to your friend and say, hey, what level of arsehole is your husband today? So,
how close are you to leaving him today?
yeah. Just out of 10.
It's like that. So,
That's
yeah,
brilliant.
it's look, there are just so many facets to this whole pregnancy, birth, labor situation, and it's not for everyone, honestly. And this is, the one thing that people keep asking me, as I mentioned, when you're having a baby. Because I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I want to have a baby now or ever, and I'm not ruling it out. But
but Ruby, I'm sorry, you're not considered whole if you don't have a baby.
I'm not a woman.
Okay, you're not a woman.
I haven't used my uterus. Okay,
No.
my uterus has been unseated. Therefore, you are not a woman. And yeah, so it's this whole idea about your being incomplete as a woman, because nobody sits there and says, oh, what career milestones have you reached? What else have you done with your life? It's what are you thinking about
baby.
kids?
I want to think about another one.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to try for a girl?
I know,
Maybe you'll have
I'm-
a girl.
I'm just
no, I
getting
don't fucking
the-
want to try for a girl.
I'm just getting you'll have another one. I'm like, no. And they're like, you will. And I'm like, look, COVID has stopped me bringing my mother-in-law from Turkey. If she comes, yes, I'll have so much help that I will have another one. Or I'll even consider having another one. But there is no way that I'm going to have another one with everything that... It's a lot of hard
but
work.
the thing is, you don't have to have a baby. You don't have to have a baby to appease anybody. I'm not going to have a baby just so my mother-in-law can
I
be
would
a
like
grandmother.
to have... Look,
I'm not going to have a
I would
baby just so my
like to
husband
have
can be
one.
a father. It's
Yeah.
got to be... I'm sorry, but you have to be a bit selfish here, because let's be realistic. You're the one who's going to have the baby. You're going to grow it. You're going to probably be the primary caretaker, given the very patriarchal system we live in as well.
Yes.
You have to think about the gravity of the
See,
responsibility.
the risk I have as well is because, especially with my age and, when you're getting treatments, every month there were 2 eggs. So there was a risk of twins as well.
Oh, God.
So
I'm sorry for you twin bearers. It's hard, man.
there is such a huge risk. Like, I was like, there was a part of me that's like, if I got 2, I'm done. But, you don't know, like, what if I decide, oh, you know what, we'll have another one. Maybe I'm ready in a couple of years.
Imagine a triplets.
And then I had more, I would...
Like
no,
that.
actually, you can choose. Like, if you've got 3, because you go to monitor, and if there's 3, the doctor will just say, no, we're skipping this month.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So he was like, look, there's 2 eggs. Are you okay? And I was like, yeah, let's give it a go.
Well, but not just that, Leyla, because, like, for me, somebody who has to really think long and deep about the thought of having children. For me, it's not a very romantic idea about, oh, how cute, let's have a family. It's about, what's the reality of this? And the reality is, it's a huge responsibility. Your life gets turned upside down when you have a baby. It's
Yes.
You're done. You're nothing anymore. It's all
Yes.
about that child.
Look, I'm going to be quite honest with you. Until, like, the last month, it was, like, the hardest thing that I've ever had to experience. Like, being a mum and actually committing to be responsible for this little teacup human, it has just been so hard. Now she's so much more independent, and we are getting those cute little family moments, those things that people talk about, we're doing stuff together. yes, when she cries, does it drive me insane? Of course it does, but it's less than what it was. But the thing is, I probably don't even, like, when I come to you guys, it's always about complaints, and I don't, tell you about how many great moments that we are having now.
Yeah, but we love her and we see her. Like, we know
Yeah.
she's so cute and sweet, but I'm just talking from a perspective of somebody who doesn't want children.
Yeah.
Like, people say, oh, you're being selfish, but actually it's not selfish.
And the costs, Ruby?
The costs. Okay, get this. So I looked up, generally speaking, in Australia, what's it cost to look after a child? And so it sort of ranked it between, what does it cost for a low-income family? What does it cost for a high-income family? And this is just costs without school tuition and everything else. It costs between $13,000 and $30,000 per year per child. Now, let's say you've got 2 children.
Yeah.
There you go. That's $60,000 of your money gone. And how much do you earn a year? And what's your mortgage cost? What do you pay for bills? It's expensive. It's not cheap. And people and this is one thing. All right, I had a conversation with a lady. I met a Turkish lady the other week here in Brisbane, and we just got talking because another Turkish person. And the first thing she asked me is obviously like, what do you do? Are you married? How long have you been married? And when I told her, she goes, do you have any babies? And I said, no. She goes, when are you going to have kids? And I said, well, I don't know if I will. And she just said, don't think about that. Just have kids. Don't worry about nothing. Don't worry about money. And I just thought to myself, fuck you, kebab lady. Like, it's not your responsibility to tell me don't worry about nothing, because you're not living in my shoes. You don't know what I pay for, my expenses. You don't know how much I earn. It's not that simple. I don't want my kids to grow up eating garbage food because I can't afford anything nice for them. Like, that's not what I want. I feel sorry for it.
I remember, like, a friend was like, oh, sausages, $5 dinner done. And I'm thinking, what? Like, my kid's avocado costs $5 that he smashes in the morning. Like,
avocado special? Was it Aaron special?
Yeah. It's not cheap,
I choose to feed my kids really like high quality food. And for me, feeding them something like a sausage is like, it's rubbish. It's beyond rubbish.
No, but it's because you can afford it. And this is what I'm coming back to. It's like, yes, I can afford to have 5 children, but they'll all be eating packet noodles. It's like, and that's fine for some people. I don't agree with it personally. I think, get yourself to a situation, if you can, where it's possible to nourish and enrich your child's lifestyle as much as possible.
Meanwhile, Mira had leftover pizza this morning for breakfast.
Look, I'm a person.
I'm like, please, I'm not even looking at you.
I had like 2 hours sleep, and I was like,
it's my personality.
I was buying quail eggs for my kids. Okay. And I'd put that in their little oat thing in the morning with their feta cheese and stuff when they were babies, because and of course it was made with express milk, because I've got to give them the best of whatever, so I've got to like kill myself expressing milk for their cereal when they started eating. I don't know why I was so into it. Anyway, I was.
You still are.
I still am.
I'm like
eat properly. I just can't.
The thing with me, I'm like, look, she's fed, she's alive, we're good to go.
For me, it was
guess
organic.
The point I want to make is, I'm not trying to shit on everyone who feeds their kids leftover pizza for breakfast and stuff like that.
It was the first time that happened, but she was quite happy.
My point is, for all the people who currently don't have children and are feeling the pressure to have children, you're allowed to think about it and say, do you know what? Financially, I'm not ready. Maybe mentally, I'm not ready. You don't have to be ready. And the thing is, I'm not ready. I'm turning 28 this year. Guess what? I'm not fucking ready. I'm not having a baby. Sorry.
Yeah. And for all those women that ask other women, are you happy? Don't fucking ask the question. Maybe she's had miscarriages. Maybe she just doesn't want it. It's none of your fucking business.
Yeah.
Like, just don't ask the question.
At most, like, I'm someone that's very curious and would ask, but my question's usually like, oh, do you want kids?
Do you want children?
Do you want children?
And that's okay. Like, we can answer that.
But the thing is, I come from a point of like, especially I guess when I was working in the lab and I'd get all these tests and customers. Patients would be calling and they'd be like, when are these tests coming through? And I'd be like noticing what sort of tests they're getting done. And then I'd ask a few questions, and I would, because I've been down that road of trying and tests and this and that, I could come in with my experience. So I can have that conversation with women. And that's probably why I was, it was always like look, there's always hope. There's always technology. You can go down the naturopath way, which is always, that's an option too. And it does work as well. I chose to go down medicine.
And it worked. Just for your information, it worked.
It worked.
But I guess, going back to this whole, I don't want children. And look, that first reason I mentioned is the financial aspect, the responsibility. That's a big reason for me. The other thing is, and you know, this could be a bit of an irrational fear, but it's something that I have to think about because pregnancy is just a freaking, you know, like game of luck. You just don't know what you're going to get. I'm really terrified of having a child who's disabled.
Yeah.
You just don't know. You don't know.
Yes.
You don't know what your genetics hold. You don't know what your partner's genetics hold unless you get there screened for all these diseases.
You can get every screening, but like my doctor
typically
said,
you wouldn't. They won't unless you know there's a disease.
you can
in the
get
family.
sick. Well, you can. You can really have like anxiety and want to know where they'd be like, okay.
But you can't screen for everything.
That's a
Leyla.
risk. Well, you can't screen for like.
You can't
being
screen
deaf.
for mental disability.
Yeah.
You don't know if your child's going to
There's
come out
so many things like
autistic, for example.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. Like it's.
They're
I feel
just
really
genetic disorders that you can test for.
Yeah, of course, but yeah, as you said, there are things you can't test for, which often pop up later in life.
See, that didn't come cross my mind at all for my first. But for my second, I was like, am I pushing it? Like, I've already gotten one good baby, like one healthy baby. Like, am I pushing my luck? Like, I actually thought that. I'm like, what if something goes wrong? Like, you're scared because it doesn't not only affect your life, it's like, it affects the
but even
firstborn's
like,
life.
I'm going to push that a bit further. Like, even when your second child like does things differently or at a different speed than your first child, you're like, is there something wrong with him? You're like,
and they're so different.
They're so different. You're like, why is he not doing it the same way he did?
Yeah.
You know, and that, you know, again, that's still.
And you still question. You're like, is there something wrong?
What did I do wrong?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's just a bit of an irrational fear, but having a child with a disability is a really big fear of mine because it's just like more responsibility and burden, and it's hard. Like
it would be very hard. My heart goes out to all women dealing with that.
But also, I have a really big fear of labour itself. Like the thought of having to put myself through a really extreme situation like that. I mean, yeah, it's natural. Women do it, but guess what? Women die doing it too, and it freaks me the fuck out.
Selective cesarean.
Honestly,
problem solved.
Well,
this person I worked with, a girl I worked with, her first labour was really, there was a lot of difficulties, and in the end, the baby literally was getting stuck. So I think, I don't know how it happened, but she had a cesarean. So come second time round, she went to her obstetrician and like the obstetrician could just see all over her face she was freaking out. And she said, okay, look, are you going to be comfortable if you have another cesarean? And she was like, yes. So she didn't want to do a VBAC, which is
and I think it's a good option, but also there are people out there, and I know people like this. I have a friend who got herself sterilised. She was in her 20s. She decided she doesn't want kids. By the way, she wasn't married, she was single. She said, no, I don't want kids for life, and that's it, I'm doing this. She had to go through a lot of hurdles to do it. But she just said, I don't want children, and that's a very valid decision to make. Not everyone needs to have children.
Like that's a bit of an extreme decision to make, because you could just stay on the pill until you go through menopause.
Yeah, but if you've decided, and this is the problem, because it's thoughts like that and remarks like that which make people go, oh, but you're going to regret that choice. You're going to regret
Not
this.
regret it. I just don't see why you would have a big surgery or whatever when you could just.
But it's not a big
take
surgery.
medicine.
It's like quite keyhole surgery.
Oh,
It's simple, because the thing is, think about all the risks associated with going on the pill. You know, you've got hormones, you can clot. It's quite dangerous. You have to get your blood pressure taken every time you go get it. I get my blood pressure taken every time I get a new script.
Yeah.
Like, it changes your system quite a bit internally. Whereas with this, you get your tube started, you're
I
done.
quite like when I'm on the pill. It like calms down my hormones, because my hormones are so up and down anyway.
Yeah, it works really well for me.
So it
too.
balances
I like
me
it.
so much, so I love it.
But, you know, as a woman, you're allowed to say, do you know what? I don't want children, and I'm a complete woman, and it's valid. I don't need this.
Definitely. I think everyone forgets that we are individuals that have choice, and we should be allowed to make that choice and not be judged by it. Like, whatever your choice is, to have children, to not have children, to have one child.
Well, the thing is, I'm just thinking about people who, you know, would be living in our ethnic communities.
Then hang on, wait.
Sorry, let me just finish my point. The people who... Sorry, Al.
Please.
Stop interrupting.
We need video recording so that you can see my expression.
No, I was just going to say, like, people who elect not to have children, and there are some out in our ethnic communities. Isn't it interesting? And think about this, you would have experienced this as well. Every time someone thinks about those people where they go, oh, they couldn't have kids. It's not that they chose not to have kids, but everyone just keeps referring to them as they couldn't because, you know, fertility issues. Nobody actually stops to think and go, oh, do you know what? They didn't want kids. Fuck, they're enjoying their money. Like, enjoy your BMW and a Mercedes, man, because that's what you can afford now that you don't have kids.
Can I speak now?
Sure, darling.
Thank you very much. I just want to go back to Leyla saying that everybody has choices, but then do we judge people that have 5 kids, 6 kids?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Of course we do.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I'm like, even, I didn't finish, I was going to say, even the people that decide to have like 10 kids. But the judgment is, like, I know this beautiful girl that I regularly speak to, she's got 6 babies. And I'm always like, oh my God, you are crazy, but you're a fucking amazing woman because you can do that. And she takes care of them. And she's very, what's the word? Like, she's very much about routine, and she's got a very strict structure that she follows, but she loves it. Like, and I admire that. Like, I wish I had like maybe an ounce so I can like have the second sometimes, but I don't have that. I'm just like, too much work. Like it is. And it's not something that, you know, like I'm personally passionate about. Motherhood is seriously. Like, for me, is like you love the people you work with, but you hate the job. Yeah. That's my take. That's my take on motherhood.
I love my colleagues.
Yeah.
Great.
Love my colleagues. They're fantastic. They're close to your heart, but the job, it just, it sucks. And the pay is totally shit.
Yeah. And the older they get, the less, it's not physically demanding, but then you have to play these games.
I'd rather play the games. She's still clingy.
Fucking Monopoly. And like, Mum, do you like, I'm like, no, I don't like playing Monopoly. I don't like playing Monopoly.
Not 5 days in a row for 3 hours.
Not with Monopoly.
I don't know. Look, people with a lot of kids, I'll be honest, I'm pretty critical of it. And I know...
Yeah, but you should... hang on.
I grew up in a family of 4 children, right?
Yeah, but this is hypocritical of you.
Is it though? Because I'm a person who I just mentioned, I'm all about nourishment. And
yeah, but you're talking...
Well, we have said if they stopped after me, then we would have had a better life.
we did say that, yes.
This is my point. So...
we would have such an amazing life.
Honestly,
but, I mean, come on, she entertains us a lot. So does the boy.
Honestly, the only people who, in my mind, can have 6+ kids are like
Kim Kardashian,
freaking Angelina Jolie, who can afford it because they've got a nanny and an educator and private schooling for all their kids.
How do you know? Like, maybe people are happy to not be educated. Maybe they don't have that.
Yeah, but are they giving their child the best option? Are they giving the child the best outcome at life?
Well, how
for
do
me,
they're not.
Well, let's listen to it this way. I'm a child. I'm 4 kids, right? We're 4 kids. Yeah. And I grew up listening to my mum saying, I did everything for you. I sacrificed everything for you. It's like, well, did you have to, though? You could have stopped at 2 and enjoyed your life a bit more.
This is very true.
So, if you don't have the means...
We could have stopped at 3.
Yeah, they could have. And look, I'm glad to exist, but damn, I wouldn't have 4. Far
you
out.
were a lovely surprise.
It's hard. And how can, because think about it like this. Of all the families that you know who have 4+ kids, are the fathers taking an active role? Or is it mostly just the mum who's staying at home looking after them?
Because the father has to work to feed 4+ kids.
Correct. So you've got one parent looking after all these people. It's pretty much a daycare in there. It's hard work.
They go to school,
And how can you be sure that you're going to be nourishing and enriching them individually? Because they're individuals. They're different, as you said. One learns more than the other sometimes.
In that respect, like a child, they wake up, you've only got them for 1 to 2 hours in the morning. You take them to school. They're at school all day. Now, what is more important is where they're getting their education, for me. Because if you're sending them to some dodgy school that, isn't that great, like, I don't know, you read the stats and stuff, I wouldn't know where to even start looking at schools. But, if you're sending them to a good school that is enforcing good values, to be human beings, to, whatever your belief system is, if that's what you're setting into, then great, because then they come home, at 3 o'clock, they go to bed at 7. That's only a few hours.
Yeah, but you're forgetting about all the extracurriculars that come with kids. Your kid wants to learn
piano.
Your
kid wants to go to soccer.
Your kid wants to do all these extracurriculars. How much does it cost a week?
Mum, can I get enrolled back in parkour? Because he was enrolled in parkour, which is basically like...
Jumping around
and learning professional stunts and stuff like that. It's $40 for an hour per child.
Yep.
Meanwhile, that's $80 just for 1 hour of parkour. Anyway, they were going, and then he broke his collarbone. So we had to pause it, but now I was like, I want to get a parkour. And I'm like, I thought we were doing karate. We're doing like, what are we doing? We've got this lesson. Like, they just want to do so many things. And I'm like, hold on.
And so now, if you have 4+ kids, you have to turn around and say, I'm sorry, son or daughter, I can't afford it. Yeah. Why? Because you've had so many kids.
Which was the reality for us.
Yeah, and so this is where I take issue with it, because kids are cute, but why do you have to have more? Aren't you satisfied with the ones that you already have?
But look, in saying that, I'm grateful Mum had 4 because
Life would be boring.
we have such a great like friendship and like we enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
There's such an amazing support system. So it's like, yeah, maybe we didn't have luxurious holidays
Honestly,
growing up.
honest
but
to God, that is
love,
the only reason why I would consider another child.
Like, I just love
Yeah.
having like you guys a part of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
But
like,
we wouldn't have known any different if we didn't have that either.
This is also true.
that's true.
But it is actually really fun when you've got like 2 other sisters and they're your best friends.
All right. Okay.
Just for everyone that doesn't have that.
Let's leave it there. I'm going to talk about this forever.
I know, it's like, I think we've done an hour.
My goodness, that's double
Wow,
time.
this is like long. See, when we add
So maybe
Another
they should go
personality.
on for an
Personality.
hour.
We just all have a lot to say.
I know, we can just go on for hours.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed this episode with our lovely special guest. He's probably going to make another appearance. Let's be
Well,
honest.
comment if you'd like to see me or hear me again. Listen
Let
to
us know if you
my
enjoyed
opinions.
having Leyla on.
Because I think I'm very different to these 2 nut jobs and I have a lot of other things to offer.
And also leave a comment if you couldn't distinguish between who's who, because we all sound virtually identical.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Take care and see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.